Hey everyone, welcome back to another print-on-demand video. My name is Greg. I've been selling print-on-demand t-shirts for just about 10 years now. And what I'm going to try to do in this video is condense all of the knowledge that I know about print-on-demand into one very easy to understand video. My intent with this video is to get all of the print-on-demand knowledge, the things I've learned from trial and error, the things that I've learned that aren't shared anywhere else online, out into a video for you guys to know. Judging by the notes that I've written down for this video, whether you are a beginner or you are an expert, you're still going to be able to pull away valuable information from this video. So guys, without further ado, let's get straight into this video. Before we get started, I will say that I am going to put a table of contents down in the description. So all of the main chapters are going to be labeled. If you want to jump around, feel free to do so. All right, so without further ado, let's get straight into this video. If you do find yourself enjoying this video, please just give it a thumbs up and let me know down in the comments. Okay, so the very first fundamental chapter in this video is going to be active print on demand versus passive print on demand. Now, I won't take long to explain this one, but it is a very core concept for all of print on demand. When you are starting a print on demand business, you basically have two routes or two different strategies that you can run that business. There are a couple different parts of the business that are going to be very drastically different between the two different styles, but let's start with active print on demand first. For those of you who choose to do an active print on demand business, this is going to be using print on demand providers like Printify, Gelato, Printful. So if you recognize any of those, you're going down the active route. And basically what active print on demand is you're creating your own website, you're bringing your own buyers. So you're running your own paid ads, you're doing your own marketing. You do have to pay for the orders up front in most cases. So when you do receive an order, you have to pay for the cost of goods before that'll actually be shipped out to the customer. And then the main one that a lot of people don't realize when they're getting started is you have to manage all the customer service yourself as well. Now, just to give you a little bit more detail on this, if you're using a website like Printify, this is going to be your cheapest option. So your lowest cost of goods, you can make the biggest profit margin this way, but they are going to outsource all of your printing. So you may run into some issues with quality control. You may run into some issues with delayed shipping. Just know that it might be a little bit more customer service for you to manage if you're going this route. The next big player in the active print on demand space would be Gelato. They're kind of medium priced here. They are still going to outsource your printing, but it's going to be kind of auto outsourced. That's what's kind of unique to them. I believe they use artificial intelligence to kind of pair you with the best fulfiller for yourself. So you're not supposed to run into as many issues here. Something else that Gelato is really good with is personalization. So if you are thinking about going the active print on demand route where you want to set up your own store and you want to offer personalized products, Gelato is a really good fit for you. And then the last one that I'll mention here is Printful. If you are going with creating your own store and you want the highest quality products, you want the biggest catalog that you can print on with a lot of customizations, Printful is going to be that one. What's cool about Printful is although they are the most expensive, they do everything in-house. So you have a lot more reliability, quality control checks on your prints, and less issues with running into delayed shipping. So that is the first side here. That is active print on demand. That is one way that you can do a print on demand business. Now, the other way that you can run a print on demand business is what's called passive print on demand. Now, when you do passive print on demand, you're uploading your designs to print on demand marketplaces. So you're not actually creating your own website. You're not actually bringing your own buyers because the marketplaces bring their own traffic. They bring their own buyers. You don't have to pay for the orders up front because the customer is paying the print on demand marketplace themselves when they place their order. And the big one for me is you don't have to handle any of the customer service. These websites handle all the customer service for you. So essentially with a passive print on demand business, you have a lot less control over customizations and things like that. But all you're responsible to do is create the designs and upload them to the websites. Everything else is done passively for you. Now, to give you some really good examples of passive print-on-demand marketplaces, we'll start with TeePublic. This is going to be the easiest one to start. You can start selling on TeePublic today. Everything's totally free to do. The next one I'll show you is Redbubble. It's actually owned by the same company. Redbubble owns TeePublic as well. Redbubble is also easy to start. They are just a bigger marketplace. They purchased TeePublic, so they were the one that originally had more traffic. And then beyond that, you have the biggest one. This is my favorite one out of all of them. This is Amazon. What a lot of people don't know is you can actually sell print-on-demand t-shirts on Amazon directly. It's totally free to do. You apply with their department called Amazon Merch on Demand. The main difference here is that if you want to sell on Amazon, you have to apply to be a seller. You have to wait to see if they accept you or not. On TeePublic and Redbubble, you can sign up for free with an email and you can start selling on those websites today from anywhere in the world. Now, the last thing I want to say in this chapter is that if you want a full deep dive on how to run a passive print-on-demand business, that's the model that I really like, and that's the one I've grown to use over the years. I'm going to link a YouTube video down in the description. It's a full step-by-step tutorial, totally free to watch. That could probably be a full paid course on this topic, but it's free for you guys here on YouTube. So if you're interested in going this route, I highly recommend that video. Okay, so the next important chapter to get into here is talking about marketing and advertising. No matter what business you are getting into, the better marketing, the better advertising you do, the more sales you're going to get. That is the same for print on demand. However, it's going to differ greatly depending on if you're doing active print on demand or passive print on demand. So the quick answer here is if you're doing active print on demand, you are definitely going to have to do marketing and advertising yourself. However, if you are doing passive print on demand, it is only going to be optional. I have done passive print on demand with my own marketing, and yes, it does increase sales. However, it's time consuming. So I've moved away from doing all the marketing myself. I don't pay for ads. I don't do any social media marketing anymore. And I've been relying solely on all of the organic traffic that comes to these print on demand marketplaces on their own. So with that being said, over the years that I've done a ton of different ways to do marketing for print on demand businesses, both active and passive, there are proven free ways that you can do it, and there are proven paid ways that you can do it. Again, this is all stuff that I've learned from trial and error. This isn't stuff that you can just find in a blueprint online. So first, let's start with the free ways that work really well for print on demand. Now, keep in mind, this is something that you'll definitely have to do for active print on demand, and you can optionally do for passive print on demand. So the best free way right now is TikTok. TikTok is just experiencing a massive flood of traffic, and they are starting to move into getting people to purchase things on their platform. This has been a strategic move that they've started doing over the last year, and it's working extremely well. So if you can create videos and post them onto TikTok, this is going to kind of be the barrier of entry. A lot of people don't want to create videos because they just think that it's challenging. But if you look up some tutorials on YouTube, they'll show you how to create videos for TikTok that are on camera, or you can be off camera where you're just showing your hands opening up a shirt, something like that. But if you can try to focus those videos on trends that are just happening right now, you create a design on that and you post it on TikTok. That is probably the best way right now to do free marketing for a print on demand business. The next best way to do free marketing for print on demand, in my experience, has been Instagram. I will say Instagram is not as powerful as using TikTok, but you just have to post photos. So you can even use mock-ups for this, so you don't have to take photos yourself. You don't have to be on camera at all. And something that Instagram's really good for is building up a brand. So when someone searches for the name of your store, if that's active print on demand, your Instagram account is going to show up in those search results. This is going to give a lot of social proof. It's going to give credibility to your brand. So as people are trying to build up, if they trust you as a company, if they want to purchase from you, having a built up Instagram profile is definitely going to help you in that department. So that's that for the free marketing. Those two will be your most efficient way to spend your time if you don't have money to spend for advertising. However, if you do have a budget to spend on advertising, the best paid ads that I could recommend to you is using Facebook. Facebook is going to be the most effective way to promote print on demand designs because Facebook is so good at putting that ad in front of people who are into those hobbies. Facebook collects so much information on people, so they know so much about people. Some people even say that Facebook knows more about people than they know about themselves. That's why Facebook is so good at putting a targeted ad in front of the right person who's likely to purchase it. Now, I will say if you are going to do Facebook ads for print on demand, it is going to take practice and there's going to be a lot of testing involved. So you might waste a lot of budget in the beginning, especially when you're starting a new campaign. You need to figure out if it's going to work or not. So don't be alarmed if when you start those ads, you're not turning a profit at all or very far from it. Once you start to dial that in and you do all of your testing and you start to optimize that, then things are going to start to get profitable. Now, before we move on from this topic of marketing and advertising, I want to show you a quick tool here. This is a tool called Place It. This is actually the tool that I use to create my t-shirt designs, but they also have included in the subscription, you can go to mockups, then something unique is you can go over to video mockups. And these are all video mockups that you can put your t-shirt design on a model and you can post that on social media. So if you have like a yoga page or something like that, this is going to be a video of someone actually doing yoga wearing your shirt. Now, if you come over to the left side here, you can actually sort this. You can do like Instagram post template. And then some of these are pretty cool. So you have like 3D mockups of the shirt or something with a cool background. Look at how cool some of these templates are. So some of these things you can post on TikTok, you can post on Instagram to try to not be taking the photos yourself or try not to be on camera. These are all things that you can test with to see if you can get any of them to hit a trend and go viral. Now, I don't want to go too far on a tangent on how to do all of this in this video, but for those of you who are interested in Place It, it's very easy to use. It's very user friendly. I will put a 15% off discount. That's my personal code to Place It. So if you do want to try it out, that will be down in the description for you. Okay, so that brings us into the next chapter, which is copyrights and trademarks. This, I would say, hands down, is the most common mistake that print-on-demand sellers run into. When you are creating your actual design, when you are putting your title together and your description together, all of those places, you have to make sure that you are not using anything that other people own. So other people can own the rights to designs. Other people can own the rights to different phrases. So before you just freely use some artwork or graphic on your design and try to sell that, or just use phrases that you saw in other people's designs, you have to check them to make sure that nobody formally owns them. If you do use any of those without checking them, you upload them to print-on-demand marketplaces, or if you try to sell them on your own store, this works for both ways. The person or company that owns the rights to that can have your listings taken down, and they even have rights to the profits that you made from them. Now, with that being said, don't let this scare you getting into print on demand. If you have a simple process in place, you can check that nobody owns the rights to things before you're using them, and it only takes a couple seconds to do. So let's quickly break down the difference between copyrights and trademarks, because they're actually two different things. Let's start with copyrights first. Copyrights are going to apply to the artwork that's on your design. This is going to be in regards to the graphic that's on your design, the font that is on your design, and even the layout of that template. Although there is currently no software that kind of checks your designs to make sure that nobody owns anything on them, what you can do is make sure that when you are choosing a graphic design tool, everything on that graphic design tool is copyright free. So to give you an example of this, let me just come back to Placeit so I can show you how this works. If you go to apparel and print, go to t-shirt designs, these are going to be all their t-shirt designs that you can use. So if you click in on any of these, everything on Placeit is copyright free and even commercially usable, so you can sell it and make a profit from. So this layout here is copyright free. This font over here is all copyright free. You can even go into more fonts. All of these fonts are going to be copyright free. Nobody owns the rights to them. And then the big thing for print on demand is the graphics themselves. All of the graphics in Placeit's library, they're all copyright free. And you can even search this to go into let's just do general fish. Everything you see here is copyright free. So you can just click on these, you can put them into your design. Now, the reason that I show you that on Placeit is because you will see the same layout when you're using other online graphic design tools, but their libraries, their fonts, their layouts, they're not all copyright free. So I really caution you when you are picking your graphic design tool for print on demand, make sure that you're doing the research to make sure that everything on their website is copyright free. So that covers the copyright side of things. Now let's get into the trademark side of things. So when it comes to trademarks and print on demand, this is going to be in regards to the phrase that is on your shirt. So not the font, but the actual text, what that shirt says, and then also your title and description. You have to make sure that you're not using a phrase or a sentence or a short sentence that somebody owns the rights to. This conveniently is something that you are able to check very quickly before you use anything on your design. So let me just switch you over to the computer and I'll show you how to quickly check these. So this is the tool that I use to check these. It's called Merch Informer. I use this for a bunch of different parts of my print on demand process. However, Merch Informer has a feature where you can type in all the phrases that you want to use. It checks them all at once. So let me get logged into my account and I'll show you how to do this. Okay, so once you get logged into your account, just come over to the left side, go to Trademarks, and then Trademark Alerts. And then in this box, you can just type in all of the phrases that you are thinking about using on your designs, and it'll quickly tell you if you can use them or not. So let me just type in a couple examples. Okay, so I've just typed in 2 here. If you want to type in more, just hit enter. You can keep typing as many lines as you want here, and then click save. And then you'll see it drops them down into this list. Just go ahead and hit this big blue button that says check trademarks. And then it'll say, we're checking your data. Please allow a few minutes for results. But really it happens instantly. So you can just refresh your browser up top, and it's going to give you either a green check mark or a red X. So if you were just creating designs blindly and you used I'd rather be fishing as the phrase on your design or in your title and description, you would be totally fine. There's no issues there. But if you used fish whisperer, which is a really good phrase, somebody owns the rights to it on apparel. So if you created that design, yours would then be taken down and you get a trademark strike on your account. So that's how easy it is to check trademarks. You just have to have a process in place. Now, before we move on from here, I will say Merch Informer has a ton of different features. I use a lot of them throughout my print on demand process. Again, in order to stay on task in this video, I'll put more information about Merch Informer down in the description below. All right, just like that, we're moving on into the next important chapter here. And what that is your sales strategy. Now, this is going to differ whether you're using active print on demand or passive print on demand. However, no matter what you are doing, there's kind of 3 main strategies that you can use. The first of these strategies is creating print on demand designs based on trends. If you can discover trends just as they are happening and create print on demand designs and get them out there and get them public, you have the potential to get a very high volume of sales, but it's only going to last for a short duration of time. Once that trend starts to fade kind of in the public eye, so are your sales on that topic. Now, just to try to pull as much knowledge out of my head on this, there are a couple ways to find these trends just as they are happening. The best free way I would say is using Google Trends. It's going to take a little bit of a learning curve to figure out what you are looking for, but it does kind of work. The other way is a feature within Merch Informer, which will show you all of the print on demand trends just as they are starting to happen. Again, that's going to be in that tutorial down in the description, so I won't get into any more detail on that one. Now, the next sales strategy that you can use that works really well is going for seasonal things. Think about holidays or things that come up every year. This again is going to give you a big amount of sales, but it's going to be for a short duration of time. Once that holiday or that seasonal event passes, your sales are going to go down for the rest of the year. But the good thing is they come back annually. So every year your sales will spike during that time. Now, the secret to succeeding with seasonal designs is you want to be the one that has a lot of sales and a lot of reviews. On the print on demand marketplace websites, whoever has the most sales and the most reviews are going to get prioritized by that website because they know that when they show that to people, people are going going to purchase it. So if you're going to go into the seasonal strategy here, focus on getting your sales and reviews up. Now that brings us into the third sales strategy. This is my favorite one of the three, and this is using evergreen topics. Now what evergreen means is kind of a fancy lingo for saying topics that last forever. You're looking at years worth of time, not just weeks or months for a trend or a season. Now I will say if you're using the evergreen strategy, you're going to see more consistent sales over a long period of time. You're not going to see really big spikes in sales or really high volumes of purchases. But if you want to build a steady, consistent, reliable stream of income, using these evergreen topics is the way to go. I would say if I could only give you one piece of advice on going into the evergreen strategy here, it would be to find low competition niches, so things that are not oversaturated already, and then try to find what are the proven phrases that are going to work in that niche. A lot of the overall niches like fishing, they're going to be just oversaturated. However, there are certain topics within fishing like Arctic fishing or ice fishing or deep sea fishing. Those could be low competition sub niches within the overall topic that you already know there's a lot of interest in that other people haven't created designs in yet. And then the other part to that is that on these print-on-demand marketplaces, there are certain phrases that you're going to start to see that sell really well in multiple different niches. So whether that is about Arctic fishing or that's about skateboarding, you may be able to use the exact same phrase and just customize it to that niche, upload it there before other people have, and you are going to be the one getting sales, getting your reviews, and earning your spot on the first page on these print-on-demand marketplaces. So that's kind of the three overall sales strategies that work really well for print-on-demand. However, like I said, when it comes to active print-on-demand or passive print-on-demand, certain ones of those strategies work a lot better. So if you are doing your own store with active print-on-demand, trends I would say is the best place to be. I would try to focus on finding these trends just as they are happening and creating a couple really good designs, getting them on your store, and then doing the marketing and advertising we talked about. For those of you who are doing passive print-on-demand on the print-on-demand marketplaces, the seasonal designs and the evergreen designs, I would say that's going to be your best bet for strategy. Now, when it comes to creating these designs, you definitely want to focus on creating a high volume of designs. Now, what I mean by that is trying to find as many of those low competition niches that other people aren't in yet, and then putting as many of those proven phrases as you can into those niches. If you do this right, you are going to start to build up a really steady and reliable source of income from these print-on-demand marketplaces. Now, there truly is a lot to unpack about these three different strategies, so I'm going to put a link to a full print-on-demand tutorial down in the description. It's going to walk you through finding these niches, using the proven phrases, all of that in a lot more detail. So if you want to learn more about that, a link to a YouTube video will be down in the description below. Okay, so that brings us into the next chapter talking about earnings or profit per sale. So how much money can you actually make? Again, if you've noticed a trend here, this is going to differ if you're using active print-on-demand or passive print-on-demand. So starting with active print-on-demand, if you have your own store, you're using Printful, using Printify, using Gelato, something like that, you are on average going to make somewhere between $5 and $10 per t-shirt sale. Now I say t-shirt sale because if you're selling something like a hoodie or a sweatshirt, that may double your actual profit. Those are more expensive items, they have bigger profit margins, but I want to keep this as a baseline for t-shirts. So $5 to $10 per t-shirt sale if you're doing active print-on-demand. If, however, you are doing passive print-on-demand, you are going to make roughly $1 to $5 profit per t-shirt sale. Again, this will double if you're selling a more expensive item. However, for t-shirts, $1 to $5. Now, I know that seems like a massive difference. You have $5 to $10, and you have $1 to $5. However, you have to remember that you have to do advertising for active print on demand. Now, if you get really good at this, you can turn a profit and it's not a problem, but you always have to subtract out your paid advertising cost or your opportunity cost of the amount of time you're spending to do social media marketing or the different free ways of doing marketing yourself. When you are selling passive print on demand on these print on demand marketplaces, your time is just going to be spent finding more niches, creating more designs, and getting them uploaded. So although you're going to make less per sale, you're not doing any customer service, everything's done for you, you're just focused on growing that business. Now, something else that belongs in this chapter of talking about earnings and profit is how do you handle taxes from the actual money that you've made from your print on demand business. Now, what I'm about to tell you, I guess I have to say this is my opinion. This is how I understand it works. I'm not giving financial advice. I don't know if I need a disclaimer on this, but I'm just trying to explain it how I understand how this works. You can sell print on demand on your own store. You can sell print on demand on multiple different print on demand marketplaces all at the same time. What you do for the year is you add up in your bank accounts how much money you have been paid from all of these websites combined. How much profit was actually paid out to your bank account. Now, if you're using a passive print on demand website, sometimes they have it add up in your account and then you have to request a payout. Well, if you haven't requested a payout yet, you haven't actually earned that money yet. You haven't received it, so you don't pay tax on it yet. Once you request that payout and it hits your bank, now you have to pay tax on it. So hopefully that clarifies that. So what you do is you add up all all of the money that you've received for the year, and then you add that to your taxes in other income. It's really that simple. You can say print on demand, other income, and you add up the total amount that you received that year. This is going to be the simplest way to do your taxes. It's so simple. You just add on that one line, you pay tax on it, and that's that. If you want to get more advanced with this as your business starts to grow, you can use what's called a Schedule C form. This is going to allow you to add up all of that as other income, but you can deduct all of your business expenses. So if you're buying design software, if you're buying anything that goes into that business, whether that's a computer for the business, you can deduct all of that against how much money you made and try to lower the amount of tax that you owe. So for example, let's say in your first year of print on demand, you made $10,000 profit. That's how much you received. But you spent $2,000 on a computer and you spent $100 on design software. Well, you take that $10,000 and instead of paying tax on that full amount, you get to subtract the $2,000. You get to subtract the $100. So now you're only paying tax on $7,900. That is what's kind of cool about having your own business. Now, speaking of having your own business, to start print on demand, you do not need to form an actual business entity. You can do all of this with your first and last name when you're signing up to all of these websites. You do not need to go out and form a business and get a business bank account to start doing print on demand. All of your profit can just be sent to you personally, and you can put it in your personal bank account. And then the last thing I'll say about this topic of taxes is that you only have to pay taxes in your local country or region. So let's say you live in the United States of America and you make all this money from print on demand, you pay tax to the United States of America. Let's say you live in Canada. Although you could make sales in the United States of America, all the websites are paying you to Canada. So you only pay taxes to Canada. This is the same thing for any other country or region. You don't have to pay double taxes to multiple countries just because you're making sales in that country. Another cool caveat here is that if you live in somewhere that has a really good exchange rate to the US dollar, you could be selling from wherever your country is, making sales in the United States, which makes up for a lot of the sales in print on demand overall. But the conversion of, let's say, $5 profit per sale may convert to a way higher amount in your local currency. So needless to say, if you live outside of the United States and you have a good conversion rate, this could be a really cool business model for you. All right, so moving on to the next chapter here. This is a quick one, but this is a very unique one that I think you would only learn from trial and error. And this is what products sell the best for print on demand. So in print on demand overall, you typically see t-shirts being the number one thing you sell. But what a lot of people don't know is you can also sell stickers, you can also sell coffee mugs, you can sell sweaters, you can sell wall art. There is a lot that you can sell all on the same listing that you are uploading your design to. This goes both for the active print on demand websites and the passive print on demand websites on those marketplaces. But after testing all of these to see how much money you make, how many people buy them, I will say that the primary earner is going to be t-shirts. So if you want to get your best bang for your buck on creating designs for print on demand, I would recommend sticking to t-shirts themselves. So guys, hopefully this video was a very efficient way of teaching you a lot of information about print on demand. All of those tutorials, I really can't stress enough, they go into far more detail on each one of these chapters. They're going to be linked down in the description below. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I really do hope that it was helpful. If you did enjoy it, again, please just give it a thumbs up. I really do appreciate that. Otherwise, I'll be seeing you guys all in the next video.